send out orders to the suppliers, he'll get the parts, he'll assemble, and then he'll give it to the client. Okay? So, so here's this requisition order. Okay, the assembler has to look at the requisition order, understand the different pieces, and understand where to buy all the different pieces. Okay, so he's got to, quote, research where each line item can come from. Then he'll make some procurement orders, okay, and he'll send the procurement orders out to the suppliers, and then, you know, the suppliers will deliver slowly, okay, and maybe there's some assembly step. I won't focus on that. And then finally the thing is shipped back to the client. Okay, so that's kind of a nice little business process. Okay, now the important thing is that at any point, a procurement order that we sent to one of the supplier may decide he doesn't want to do it after all. He may cancel his commitment to, you know, do the procurement order. So what that means is we're going to have to go back and research those line items again and then send out another procurement order. So one of the little things we're exercising in this example is the idea of, you know, it's not just the sunny day of what happens under when everything's going smoothly. There's also the possibility at any time, kind of asynchronously out of the blue, some kind of event that's going to force some additional work. Okay, so to model this with business entities, okay, there's really 4 Bell types that we're going to use. Okay, and the first one is what we might call the requisition order. It's managing the overall operation of things from when the customer sends in his requisition order, and then kind of it's managing the processing of work. It's almost like an orchestrator for the rest of it. Okay, it's almost like it's just making sure that each line item is researched, and then it's making sure that the procurement orders are kind of put together and sent to the suppliers, and it's kind of tracking that they came back. Okay, so that's what the requisition order is going to do for us. For each line item, I'm going to have a Bell type, okay, or I'm going to Bell instance. All right, and the idea is it's going to, you know, the main focus is just keeping track of the research which is done on the line item. You know, what are the potential suppliers? What costs? What price points could they give me? When could they get it back to me? You know, could they get it back soon, etc. So it's kind of you think of these Bell types as they're almost like relations in a database, okay? Because you're keeping information around, but there's kind of typically a process of how you're adding information, and you're kind of adding information as you go along, typically. Okay, so that's the line items, and then there's the procurement order. Okay, so finally I assemble a procurement order. I'm going to send it to supplier number 1. Okay, so I want to kind of watch that. I want to, you know, this might include stuff about, you know, just managing the relationship with the supplier and etc. Okay, and this thing will exist in some sense from when I launch the kind of the creation of the procurement order and figure out where am I sending it, etc. And it'll keep going until, keep going until either the thing is delivered or the thing is rejected. Okay, and at that point, what I do with this procurement order instance is I archive it. Okay, in essence, I take it off the table. Okay, I won't talk about the sub-assemblies for now. Okay, so now we're going to introduce the life cycle constructs of guard, stage, and milestone through example. And this visual representation is just something that we are using informally. This is not intended for, you know, any kind of real business user or any kind of person who might really try to design one of these things. This is, let's just say for now, informal, graphical kind of notation that we just worked up, and we may change over time. So the first thing to look at is, you know, here, of course, we have our information model. This is always an important part of a business entity type. Okay, sometimes we get hung up on just looking at the life cycle, but you've got to remember it's anchored, if you will, at the information model. And right now in the information model, what I'm showing are kind of the business data attributes, things like who's the customer of this requisition order. Okay, what are the line items in this requisition order? You know, eventually I'm going to, as part of this action, I'm going to compute an optimal partitioning of the line items so that I can send them out to the different suppliers. So this will actually be holding, as it were, the meat of the procurement orders. Okay, and maybe I'll keep track of all the procurement orders, and maybe there's some other stuff. Now I'm also going to keep track of, in my information model, key event occurrences that are happening. Because what's going to happen is, one major event that's going to come in is the first event that says, hey, here's a new customer making an order. Okay, so I call it here the request new requisition order event. So that's an event that might happen. Another event that might happen is I get done with allocating all the line items, let's say. Okay, so I'm keeping track of my data attributes, but also I've got room down here to talk about the events, occurrences that have come in. Okay, and I might add something there in that blank space. Okay, so the next step is, what I want to focus on first are these little circles called milestones. Okay, so milestone is supposed to be, in this case, a business relevant operational objective. Okay, so this is something that business guys can actually think about and grasp. Okay, that's why we're very focused on these milestones. So if I think about how the requisition order goes, one of the major things that I might try to achieve along the way is to get all of the line items ordered, for all the line items that are ordered. Okay. Another thing I might try to achieve later on is that the assembly got finished. Okay. Now there'll be stuff inside with additional milestones to give me kind of like a hierarchical way of dealing with it. These milestones, I'm just giving you kind of the English name, but in actual fact, the milestone is expressed as an event possibly along with or a condition. So I might have an event, I might have a condition on the data attributes. Okay, I might have an event that came in, right? Or I might just have a condition on the data attributes. Okay? And by the way, it has the effect of kind of closing off this bunch of activity. It's kind of an indicator that I'm done with the activity, and also, by the way, it will just stop all the activity inside. Okay? So the next, and I've kind of alluded now, so these rounded rectangle stage bodies, cluster of activities intended to achieve one or perhaps one of several milestones. Okay? Now these stage bodies, stages may be nested. Okay? So inside I might have some more stages, which I'll show in a moment. Okay, and then I've got these guards. So the guards have the effect of opening the stage to do some activity. They're expressed again as an event and or condition. Okay. Okay. So how does this thing work? How does this thing work? Okay. What happens is, maybe I got started and I'm in the middle of creating my procurement orders, okay, and then maybe what happens is I have to generate a report. Maybe it's another hour has started, and so I have to generate a report. Fine. So these stages can go in parallel. Okay, I get done with generating the report. Let me paint it red to mean I'm done for now. Okay, maybe I finish with creating the procurement orders. Maybe then I start assembling. Okay. Then I have to generate another report, let's say, okay, and then I don't have to, okay, I'm done with it. Okay, so that's just kind of an illustration of how this thing is going to march along. Okay, now to help with kind of making all that happen, I'm actually going to have some more attributes that I kind of keep around. Okay, and we call them status attributes, and essentially it's going to tell me at any point the status of the milestones and the status of the stages. Are they active or inactive? So it turns out these are Boolean attributes. Okay. Now, the actual one way to talk about the semantics, the operational semantics, is to say this is a stylized event condition action system, rule system. Okay? So what I'm going to tell you now is I'm going to tell you, given a spec like this, what are the ECA rules that I'm going to think about. Okay? And the first class of ECA rules I'm going to work with are the guards, okay? And the guards basically say, if you've got this event and or condition happening, then go ahead and open the stage. Open it up, okay? And, oh, by the way, change the stage indicator over here to active. Okay? And then another one is, if you happen to have an open stage, and it happens that one of the event condition of one of these milestones goes true, then two things. You get to make the milestone true and record it down here, and make the stage close and record it there. Okay, so I'm giving you a very procedural way of thinking about the operations. Okay? And one more, and then I'll stop for questions. Okay, I mentioned there's nesting of substages. Okay? You know, it might be that, you know, inside I've got, you know, when I kind of get started with a procurement order, you know, I've got maybe 10 line items, and maybe one thing I have to do is go ahead and create 10 line item entity instances. All right, so maybe I'm doing that there, you know, and then, you know, here, you know, if I've still got stuff to research, I might, what's the saying there? For the planning, this is the part where I do planning of the procurement order. So I'm going to start this once all the line items that aren't already in the procurement order have been researched. And so now I'm kind of in a position to say, oh, I've got all this information about these line items, now I'll figure out how to put them together. Okay, so kind of in between here and here, there's going to be action down in the line item place, doing the research on the individual line items. So once that gets done, that's when I'm going to get to start this thing. Okay. You know, and eventually and then once I kind of get out of here, then I'll go ahead and launch the procurement orders that I've just worked with. Okay, and then I get out. All right. So you can see this. You can kind of program some rather sophisticated behaviors here. Now here's an important thing. Let's talk about this milestone for a moment. So I want this to trigger. I want to close down the operation of this stage. I want to close it down once all of my planned procurement orders have been sent. Okay. So you know, typically I start this out. I get my line items. I research. Then I'm all done researching. I plan my procurement orders. Okay. And then I launch the new procurement orders I just did, and everything is happy and rosy. Okay. But remember, what's going to happen is one of the suppliers might write back to me and say, hey, I'm not going to do it. You know, I went out of business, whatever. So now I get this event coming back in that says, you know, here, these 4 line items, I'm not going to do them. Okay. So what should I do with this milestone? This milestone is kind of saying, oh, you know, all line items have been ordered. This milestone is saying, oh, my business objective of having all my line items orders has happened, and I've passed through, and I'm happy. Okay? But suddenly, now I've got these 4 line items that aren't ordered anymore. So what do I do? Okay? So what we are choosing to do in this GSM model is we have the notion of milestones becoming compromised. Okay? So this is like a design decision. There's a lot of argument. Can milestones ever be compromised? Right? Once I achieve an objective, what does it mean to say I've undone this objective? Wait, I achieved it. I did literally achieve all line items ordered. It's just that, you know, a while later, something happened, and now I've got some line items I've got to deal with. So the way we're choosing to model it is,